So start lying down. We'll start off with hip rolls. And this is to mobilize the spine. So knees bent, feet are together, arms out to the side. And you're going to take both knees in the same direction at the same time, keeping your knees together. Bring yourself back to the center and going over the other way. Bringing yourself back. Key thing with this is think of your knees are glued together, keeping your upper body down. Then taking your feet further away. So now they're wider than hip distance apart. These are knee rolls. So to begin with, keep your fingertips on your pelvis. Both knees go in the same direction at the same time. But the pelvis stays down on the floor. And you'll get a sense of what's happening with the pelvis. If I change my angle a little bit, you'll be able to see a little bit more what's happening. And then allow the pelvis to go. So hip movement, adding spinal rotation. And then bridges. Bridges are more about mobilizing, strengthening your hip extensors. So feet are hip distance apart. Spine stays in neutral, coming up into your bridge and coming down out of your bridge. And then you can challenge that by doing walking bridges. So from a seated position, we did some hamstring stretches. So straightening out one leg, bring the other leg in towards you, sitting yourself as tall as possible, and then just doing a slight hinge from your hip. And you should feel a bit of a stretch back of your leg. The spine is neutral as possible, so you only need a tiny hinge forward and you should get a bit of a stretch there. And then also from a seated position, we did a bit of thoracic extension. So this can be done sitting on a chair or sitting on the floor. It doesn't really matter where. But thinking of lifting your head and your chest up towards the ceiling, getting a bit of extension upper back. So if you're more comfortable, you can sit cross-legged. Or just sitting on a chair is absolutely fine. So this is quite functional, really good thing to do throughout your day. So lying on your front, we'll start off with cobra prep. Arms out to the side. Lifting head, chest, coming into a bit of extension, coming back down. And then into full cobra. Coming up as far as you feel is comfortable. Shoulders down away from ears. And then we did dart. Big toes together, heels apart, rotating from your hips, rotating from your shoulders, bringing yourself up into extension. And then we added floating arms. So that's a bit of spinal extension. So Cobra is more about getting the spine moving. Dart is getting the back muscles working a little harder, and the floating arms is adding a bit more load onto it. So then lying on your side, we do some side lying legs. You can have a small cushion between your head and your arm, or if you prefer to just have your head rested in your arms, that's fine too. Knee on top of knee, lift your waist away from the floor. Feet in line with your spine, hand either down by your chest or on your pelvis. And then you can lift your top knee up towards the ceiling. So that's oyster. So we did suggest, if you wanted to, you can use a wall to line yourself up. And that gives you a bit of feedback in terms of your alignment. So that can work quite well. Just get my resistance band. So for ease, I'm just going to use a loop, but if you've got a resistance band, you can just tie a knot in it and take the band over your thighs. And then oyster, same movement, but you just added some resistance, so it works your hip rotators a bit more strongly. Quite nice to do with the band. And then coming up to standing. Feet, using the band, feet a little wider than hip distance apart, coming into squats. So bending ankles, knees and hips, come back to standing. So that's your normal squat. You want your spine to be in neutral. And as you do your squat, you want to make sure your knees track over your big second toes. So with the band, it's quite nice. It adds a bit of resistance, works your hip rotators. So you can do this with or without the band. Then with the band from your squat, you can do some little pulses. So further works your hip rotators. So small pulses out to the side. Quite hard work. You might need to come out of your squat every now and then, go back into it and coming back into squats. So that's squats with resistance. And then we did some single leg squats. So standing, or we did some standing knee folds first of all. So just challenging your balance. With this, it's just noticing what's happening with your pelvis. Keeping it level. And then you can add to that, take your knee out to the side. Headlights on, pelvis stay directly forward. So just go with the range that you can do. And then single leg squats, lifting up one leg. And same as what we were doing before, really focusing on control of movement. Observe any wobble. Making sure that your knee tracks over your big second toe. You might want to use a surface to hold on to, especially to begin with, to focus on the control of movement. And then you can take your hands away. So lunges, taking a big step back with one leg. Toes are you're on your toes of your back foot, and you're bending your back knee. Watch what happens with the front knee. So spine is going directly down and directly back up again. So you want to make sure your knee doesn't go beyond your toes. So it's a down and up type movement rather than a forward and back type movement. So that's the basic lunge. And then when you've got the basic lunge bit, you can challenge the lunge in terms of balance. So you do your lunge, you hold it there, coming to waist twist. Add a spinal rotation. Add a rotation the other way. Swapping over legs, rotating. Rotating the other way. And then you can add lateral flexion. So find your lunge, arms come up, flexing over, so you're adding a side bend, challenging your balance. Going with the other foot. So you can flex over one way and then flex over the other way. And then coming into normal roll downs, always nice to do. Little nod of head, flexing the spine, rolling yourself down, rolling yourself back up, relaxing the shoulders, and then coming into a standing back bend, lifting head, chest, pelvis goes forward, palms can go forward. Bring yourself back up. You can change your feet position, so take your feet and turn out and do the same movement from there.